All right, we did not lack intensity today. That was it was a good good practice in a sense of guys coming out with purpose. I think sometimes the intensity got we got to make sure we're maintaining control of emotions at times. But I thought it was good work today. We got back-to-back days today, tomorrow, so thought we set the stage well for what tomorrow's going to be, and for some of the areas which some of the inconsistency of what I saw earlier in on Tuesday's practice. I thought we responded. Now it's just time to make sure that with all the intensity, all the passion, the push to improve, that we maintain focus on fundamentals, techniques, doing things the right way. And so I thought it was a good work day in that regards. Obviously still working through some installations, so it's you're trying to make sure that we've got a great foundation as we transition to the summer here at the end of these next handful of practices. So we are still trying to push and implement, helping guys understand language, expectations. Still working to push tempo on both sides of the ball, getting some good special teams work. And you're letting those guys show what they're capable of doing. So all in all, a good day, and leads us into what's going to be an important day for this team tomorrow.
Ira?
I was going to ask you, why is the schedule different this week?
Just the way the calendar fell, we're sitting there. I wanted the full 8-week program, leading up the winter program leading up to spring practice, which put us to a post spring break start, and still trying to maximize the days and the times. We decided to have two practices where you had to get a back-to-back. The first two, and then obviously this one I'm going to give the guys off this weekend as we go into the last week, just to get an opportunity to really almost say reset, but to take a deep breath, and then it's going to be a mad dash sprint through the finish of spring practice, and every day, every practice, it's critical. But we've been going at it pretty good, and I think the guys are they're in a good spot, but we need to have another physical day tomorrow, but then try to give them they'll basically have 3 days before we get back on the field for what will be our last padded practice before the last scrimmage. So I think it sets up well.
Brennan, can I do a two-part?
Sure.
Multi-layered. With the intensity today, it sounds like that's something you were looking for, I guess. Who were kind of the ones bringing that charge?
Yeah, I think it was both sides. It wasn't just, and you're looking, I don't ever want it to be just one position or one group. That's, we saw, I saw fight and, determination. I thought one of my favorite plays today, Squirrel White, who's kind of been limited, not the biggest receiver in the world, had a big time block there out on the perimeter. Just where you felt him going in there and trying to be physical, trust the technique, fundamentals. It's kind of been a guy that's been limited with the physicality aspect of it, but it's good to see that. I thought there was really good battles in the trenches. You feel running backs, linebackers, safeties fitting. So there's been some good elements on both sides. But yeah, I can't just sit there and say, well, it's just this group. Which if that was the case, we'd probably be in trouble. So
was that? I guess it's just generally then the response you were looking for with it in regards to the intensity?
Yes, I like the intensity. I like the competitiveness. It's being in control in those moments too. Because sometimes you can have all the passion, the energy, the intensity that's out there, but if you're not in control of that, it can get sloppy. And I don't think we didn't get to that point, but there was moments where we gotta respond in the moment where there was times where I didn't see it as clean as I wanted, and so but it was a good work day.
Corey?
You said Friday is a really important day. Is that just because the weekend coming up, or do you want to see them like a weekend off, or stacking them?
I want to see stack practices for the intensity that we saw today. I want it ramped up tomorrow. You know, we're going goal line, red zone. I mean, we're going to put it. You know, it's not going to be the longest practice that we've had. It'll probably be one of the shortest practices we've had. But you know, usually within the spring, you know, we try to have a practice to remember. And tomorrow's going to be one that I want them to remember.
All right.
Do you have an idea in your head, like where you want to be after 3 weeks, where you want to be after, like, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, you have, yes, individually, collectively side of ball, you know, as a football team, you know, you want to see progress, you want to see growth. You know, there's, you know, a big part of spring is, you know, who are you going to be? What is it going to look like? You know, we've had, you know, some injuries that have made, you know, certain positions a little bit more challenging of getting a sense of, you know, best qualities that guys have. You know, we're getting, you know, I know, you know, Micah got work today, Gunner got work today, Jalen Early, which I didn't really expect, you know, a whole lot of, you know, but I saw him getting, you know, more and more. You know, Richie's been getting some work, so, you know, obviously we know the O-line position's been one that's taking some hits, but you're seeing those guys get back in there and seeing some progress to, you know, what they've been doing, you know, through film study, but, you know, now getting the physical aspect of it, you know, I think is good. Still not full go on it, but hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of that here this next week, you know, with them. But, you know, you still want to see the mentality that's showing up. Are guys responding to the standard that's being set? You know, our coaches, are we holding them accountable to that standard? You know, what's the energy, the encouragement, the affirmation when it's right, the challenge, you know, when it's not. And so I want to see that progression, and I think I have seen it. You know, still some, you know, it'll be a process, you know, leading up to the season, you know, to the season of exactly who we are and what it's going to be. But, you know, I think a lot of that's starting to take hold.
Kurt?
You talked about the intensity. I don't know if you would say maybe that devolved into chippiness or anything like that. How much do you want to see that balance struck? Or days like this where you don't want things to get out of control, but you maybe want that competitiveness to fuel over a bit just because of the effort that's on display out there?
Yeah, I mean, you want guys that are competing to win, and, you know, every you know, we're trying to give plenty of moments to put that on display, and you want to win the right way and do it the right way. But I want to see guys fight to win. So if it gets chippy, go be it. You know, be controlled, be disciplined. But yeah, I mean, and that's where there were some times where we weren't as clean in that. You know, some new players. You know, guys from high school. Just everybody comes from different ways of operation. But, you know, we're going to operate a certain way, and, you know, we'll get out there and we'll mix it up. And, you know, but I want it all.
Anything else? Corey?
With this spring, obviously you have a new defense and a new offense you're implementing a lot. It sounds like one of the things you're trying to implement more than anything else is what we've been talking about the last 8 minutes. Was that the goal? I know that's your goal going into every practice, but toughness, intensity, fight, competitiveness, that's something that was absolutely on your mind.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad. Yeah, yes. Like that. If you can take all the nice, pretty plays you want to draw up and all the defenses, but if you don't chase the ball, if you don't, you know, play with pad level, explosiveness, strike, run your feet, knock people back. Like, if you're not going to bring that, then it just things that sound good. I mean, I want to feel Florida State football. That is the demand and the expectation, and a lot of work that goes into that. But yes, like I mean, I love all the cool plays and you know, looks that we can give offensively and defensively, but how we're executing them and how we're doing them, that's what's going to stand out when it comes to the identity of this team. Thank you guys.